Hello, I'm JD and welcome to another Nebulous Fleet Command game update. And this game update is primarily centered around new game modes and a few bug fixes. So let's have a look straight away. First, if you come into Skirmish, you'll see that we have a whole bunch of new scenarios. There's Capture the Flag, Centerflag, and Tug of War, which have been added, and Station Capture has been tweaked. So let's first have a look at the Station Capture tweak. So the main thing to note here is that previously Station Capture had the capture point in the middle, requiring both the attacking and the defending team to rush towards the center, and that put the defending team at a disadvantage. Now the facility that the defenders need to defend and the attackers need to capture is actually located within the defenders' spawn zone, giving them time to select and deploy around it, forcing the attackers to have a battle plan, moving around the terrain in order to capture. So this is a nice change. It, instead of being symmetrical, it's now asymmetric to one side, actually making it feel like the defenders are actually defending. Small changes: that shooting gallery has now been renamed as small testing range. As always, when you deploy into the small testing range, you don't select how your fleets deploy, formations don't work, you're simply dumped in at close range for you to test your fleets against everyone else. And we'll use small testing range to demonstrate the new game maps. Next, let's have a look at the new game modes. So Capture the Flag, Centerflag, and Tug of War. Each of them will use the control points already existing within the map. So the control point locations won't change, but how they behave will. So if we have a look at Capture the Flag, we can set a time limit up to 90 minutes, and victory points we can have 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. So for this one, we'll play with 3. So upon loading in, you'll have the 2 capture points. This will obviously differ depending on the different maps. So here we have our base at Atlas and the enemy base at Boxer. If I take one of my ships and drive it towards Boxer, you'll see that the flag has the flagpole and the flag. As my ship enters, it'll take 5 seconds and then I'll be able to pick up the flag. The flag will disappear from the pole of the captured team and will appear over the ship that has been selected as the carrier. So if this ship is destroyed for any reason, then that flag will be dropped. Upon returning the flag to your base, you'll go up 1 increment, and this will continue until you've got all 5. If the flag carrier is destroyed, then you can move one of your ships into that flag. After 5 seconds, you can pick it up and then bring it back to your location. Again, by doing so, the flag, whilst it's being carried, will disappear. If the flag is dropped by any team, if that team moves into that control point, then that team will be able to return its flag back to its home base. Teams will continue that backwards and forwards until such time that the flags reach all 5 or the time expires. One thing to note is that you will only be able to see who has the flag if you actually have a track on them. The enemy ship was to take a flag and was to move to a position where I couldn't see, then we'll see that that flag icon will disappear. So once again, vision will still be important within the game. Centerflag is a similar game mode operating under the same principles. Here, if I move one of my ships forward into the facility, I can pick up the flag. I'll now have the flag as the flag carried. It will change up on the top. And by returning back to base, I can put that back in my home location, scoring a point. And continue to do this, receiving points for my team, and so on and so on. The difference here being that if a flag is destroyed, then you can pick it up instead of it returning back to its home location. Finally, we have Tug of War. You can set a time limit as well as the various victory points. Here we will set 500. With Tug of War, you'll use the same control points as the game mode control. If you move one of your ships into a point, you will capture it. So we'll move one of our ships and one of the enemy ships into location. And as we start to capture it, one more control point than the enemy. So here you can see that we're starting to take points away. So if we have the enemy capture a point, we'll see that the time has now stopped we've taken a number of points off the enemy. However, once they take one, then it's equal. We would have another enemy ship that take control of B, and then we'll start to see the points go back the other way, as the enemy fleet now has 1 point plus 1, outweighing the amount of points that we currently capture. Now, like all control points, if 2 people are trying to capture the same location at the same time, then the zone will be considered as contested, and that will block the capture, forcing both ships to fight until one no longer has offensive capability, has to back off and exit the control sphere, or is destroyed, at which point the other team will then capture. So this game mode will require you to not only hold some of your control points, but to have one more than the enemy, forcing those engagements. So this game mode will end when you've taken all the enemy's points and moved them to your side by having more capture points than they do. So with all that ends this game update. New game modes are always interesting, particularly the change to station capture, which will make it a little bit more appealing to players. We did receive a bit of an update on the first major update. As stated within the changelog, we should be receiving a devlog soon that'll cover the updates, what's been achieved to date, and hopefully give us a sneak peek of what is to come. Until then, take care and see you later.